Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final part of Sailor Moon and Another Story. Some of you are glad to be here because it's been a fun playthrough for you. Some of you are glad to be here because it means it's over. Whichever group you fall into.
Plenty of you aren't here because you probably dropped this at some point.
Yeah, probably. I'm not going to dance around that. But
why do you think we do our long RPGs at the start of the year?
January sucks.
Yes. Well, it's February now at the time of this recording.
Oh yeah, it is. It's February 1st.
Yeah.
But okay, so at this point, you split the party up again. You have a chance to reformulate two parties before going into the final boss. The first party, Sailor Moon's party, is going to be the party that fights Demon Apsu in her strongest form. If you fail to defeat Demon Apsu with Sailor Moon's party, Chibi Moon's party takes over and has to fight a much easier version of Demon Apsu. But as a result of this, you get the bad ending. And I think Anshar and Oppositio Sin are sacrificed or something. And it's an all-around not happy ending for the bad guys. This, I assume, was a design choice made because, as established earlier in this playthrough, the target audience of this game was quite young girls, and they didn't want to have the game be, like, brain dead easy, but they also didn't want it to be too hard, so they made the final boss an optional challenge. And then if you failed the optional challenge, you fought a weaker final boss instead and got like what I assume was the intended ending of the game. Because from what I can tell, the bad ending isn't narratively unsatisfying. It seems like a good natural endpoint for the story as it's been going so far. But anyway, I'm actually using the cluster formation because I've got Pluto and Mercury in my party. So I want to keep both of them
in the
back row. So, because, like, Mercury's not going to do much damage, and Pluto's not going to do any damage because she's on time stop duty the whole time. So, you know, I'm keeping Mercury in the back so that she can use items. I'm also being a little overly cautious here because I'm fully aware going in that this boss can wipe me out in one attack. If it gets an attack out... Oh, air horn.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. We've done the joke. Oh, aren't you Ansem from Kingdom Hearts?
Darkness.
Kind of looks like Ansem from Kingdom Hearts, where there's just like a human torso on top of a giant monster head thing. That was a weird boss design. I like how Demon Apsu's logic for not destroying the palace outright is really basic practicality. I could just blow you all up along with the palace right now, but that would be inconvenient because I'd have to dig through the rubble for the silver crystal. Okay. I mean, you're not wrong.
It's time to pay.
Let's do the pose one more time.
Why are you facing the wrong way every time?
Ooh.
It's technically called the God of Ruin. I think Demon Apsu was its translation in the old patch. Not sure.
At least it has its own boss theme.
Yes, it does.
At least we got that.
Also, Final Fantasy Origins called Chaos wants his battle arena back. Okay,
Chaos.
So here we are.
Do we play Limp Bizkit?
What?
I'm making Final Fantasy Stranger in Paradise jokes.
Oh.
Because you did, the Final Fantasy Origin. So I was like, oh, Stranger in Paradise is also an origin.
I forgot about that, actually. I'm interested in that game, but at the same time, I don't know. Something keeps causing me to block it from my mind.
Probably the part where Jack goes bullshit and just starts playing Limp Bizkit.
It kind of feels like a Castlevania Judgment sort of entry, you know? Just like A lot of familiar concepts, but boy, is the design weird.
Yes, this high fantasy world with monsters and swords and sorcery, and there's this guy wandering around with a buzz cut and a t-shirt and pants.
Yeah. Usually when Final Fantasy goes in for the modern times, it unifies it with whatever game it's in. Like, Final Fantasy VIII had this sci-fi setting. Final Fantasy VII was all steampunkish. Final Fantasy X was a world where everyone ran around in their swimsuits for no reason. And, you know, Final Fantasy XIII was Ruby, but worse. You know, I get it. But I don't get that. Maybe it'll work better when we see the full product, but who knows?
I mean, from what I hear, the gameplay, at the time of this recording for the demo, people who played the demo, it's like, from what I hear, the gameplay is fine. It's just, ugh. The rest of it.
I wish Final Fantasy would do a turn-based game again, though.
I mean, that's functionally what Team Asano's for, who do the Octopath Traveler, Bravely Default, etc.
Yeah, but those are all low budget. I want to see it in high budget.
I mean, I would too, but...
The last time we got to see what that might have looked like was Lost Odyssey, you know? Like, what a high-budget looking Final Fantasy game with a turn-based combat system would look like in next gen. I suppose the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy kind of counts. Maybe a little bit. And I know Dragon Quest gets a high enough budget, but Dragon Quest is also in Dragon Ball style, so... Like...
There's only so much you can do to make Toriyama designs look fancy.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say the games look bad by any means, it's Toriyama style. They're intentionally drawn super simply.
But, like, aesthetically, and in terms of, like, the way the game looks in motion, Lost Odyssey is a fucking brilliant-looking game. Too bad about the number of discs it takes to run. Xbox 360. I think it's, like, 4 DVDs, which is insane. I really need to play that game one of these days, like, properly. But it's on the Xbox 360, which means the only controller I can use for it is the Xbox 360 controller. And I have grown to really hate the feeling of the Xbox 360 controller, especially the D-pad. Like, whenever I sit down to play something on my Xbox 360, I just can't get past the controller anymore, and I don't know why. Okay, so this is going to take a while. We have like maybe another 20 minutes until this boss dies. So let's just go through some general Sailor Moon related questions. Okay, so first question. When was the last time you guys watched the show?
Number of years ago.
About a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I was watching some
Okay.
Crystal on Netflix.
Oh, excellent. How much of it did you watch?
I'm in the middle of season 3 right now, or towards the end.
Oh, season 3.
Of Crystal.
Crystal, you
Yeah.
said? Ah, excellent. Good season.
When was the last time you watched?
Last year when I was going through the Blu-rays that I bought, I watched most of season 1 of the 90s show and all of Crystal.
Oh, yeah.
It was good shit. The only complaint I had with season 3 of Crystal, though, I don't know. Maybe you're getting the same impression that I did, but I thought they relied on the recycled Sailor Moon special attack animations
Yeah.
a little too much.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah,
they
it's like
always
they-
do that, though.
Well, I mean, they didn't during Crystal seasons 1 and 2. They just did action scenes.
Mhm.
But then they brought back a reliance on the transformations and the special attack animations in season 3.
Let's take up a couple minutes to transform.
They did that mainly to give it more of a classic Sailor Moon feeling. But I felt like they did the recycled animations a little too often and cut across some otherwise good action scenes with it. That was just my impression, though. I was wondering if you got the same vibe or if it was just me being, a little...
Yeah, I can definitely see it, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Season 3 still has some monumental action scenes. I keep bringing up that one with Sailor Mercury, but just in general, it's a really good season for action.
All right, next question. The all-important one, favorite scout.
Well, you guys already know mine. What's your guys' favorite?
Yeah, I think we talked about this
possibly
briefly, like really early on, but I guess this an extended discussion wouldn't hurt. You said yours was Mercury because you could somewhat relate and looked up to her, if I remember.
Yeah.
What did you say, Ryan?
Mine's Mars.
Mars. Okay, fair enough.
What's yours, Lewis?
I briefly said before that I like them all equally, but I guess that requires a bit more explanation. Because the thing about me is that I'm kind of an amateur writer, and when I write stories, I have no freaking idea why this is. It just is a thing. But my stories always gravitate toward female protagonists. I don't know. I guess I have a harder time writing guys in the lead role. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because...
They're probably a bit more fun to write. You can do a lot more with the character, I feel.
Honestly, I think I just, find it more relaxing to write when I'm detached from problems that I personally have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't really want to deal...
As a man...
I don't really want to deal with and if I were to write that kind of story, my writing would be colored by my own hang-ups and stuff. So stepping out of the role of a guy and writing a story about a woman lets me just sort of just focus on issues that I personally have never had to deal with, and that I can just let my imagination
just flow.
Just flow through it. Yeah, it's easier to write a character that doesn't feel forced when my own hang-ups are not in the equation, I guess. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way to describe it, which isn't an easy way to describe it at all. But the point is, what all this comes down to is that when I look at the different scouts, I'm actually evaluating them all as if I wrote them myself. So I'm sort of I'm thinking about where their headspace is at whenever I see them on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's why I'm kind of really super vocally annoyed with the 90s anime versions of these characters who rarely change at all, because I don't like that kind of static character portrayal. I like to see them. I like to see them develop and not constantly mistake everyone for that one senpai that broke their heart a while ago. I'm going to give Jupiter a hard time for that because I really like Jupiter as a character, but the fact that she never seems to grow past that.
They really drive it home.
Looks at Shadow the Hedgehog. Looks just like the senpai that broke my heart. What?
Yeah. So okay. So I guess I put myself in all of the characters' heads when I evaluate them, as I think about them as if I were about to write a story for them myself. And I look at them and I think, yeah, these characters have a lot that you can work with, Mm. They all have their own quirks and their own potential for character growth, avenues, things that you can use as story hooks, essentially. And I don't find any of them less interesting than any of the others in that aspect. Well, now that I think about it, maybe Pluto is a little less interesting, but that might just have to do with the fact that I haven't had much time to evaluate her character in the present day. She spends all of Arc 2 in her future form, where she's literally just Sailor Pluto, and she's the guardian of time, and you don't get to see much of who she is, and that in itself is a really interesting story, but it's also not a very human story. She's a solitary immortal guardian who guards the gates of time. Made friends with a little pink girl.
It's kind of sad
and,
though, you know?
yeah, and then she dies, and she sacrifices
Yeah.
herself to kill the bad guy, and it's all tragic. And then in the very next season, she's already reincarnated and fully grown because that's how time travel works. But I never really got to spend much time with Sailor Pluto as Setsuna, as the character who lives in the present day and has life there. And I guess I would have time to spend with that character if I'd watched the 90s anime up through season 3, but not yet. Not yet. So there's a bit of a question mark over how I feel about Sailor Pluto. But the others I find really interesting. Like, Sailor Saturn is practically a Western comic book villain in her introduction, in that she's a relatively nice character who's going through some pretty tough situations. And in like I could see a character with the exact same story showing up in the DC animated universe and getting like 3 whole episode stories to her extended arc. But she's also not.
I mean, functionally, I guess the closest would be, what's her name, Ace from the Shuffle Gang.
You know, I was thinking of Ace, and I didn't want to mention it because I didn't want to go on another DCAU tangent. But yeah, kind of, sort of. Like, the beats are a bit different, but kind of. They're not far off they're not far off in terms of character. But man, you know, I just can't decide which Sailor Soldier that I like more at any given time, is what I mean by saying that I like them all equally, because they've all got interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, Hotaru is super interesting.
Time for awkward Sailor Moon fact. If the characters aged normally as they were in their timelines, the Sailor Scouts would all be over 40 now.
What?
Well, they're 14 in 1992 when the series comes out, which means they were born in 1978. Therefore, they're over 40 now.
They're 40-year-old middle schoolers.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of old anime is starting to get really weird on a timeline sense. Sword Art Online should be launching this year.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You're right.
It's funny because they referenced this in the Progressive movie I was telling you about before in God of War Lewis.
Yeah.
Because they literally play Tekken 7 in it.
Yeah. And you know, like, the future year of 2022 did look a lot like the future in 2011, I want to say, when it was originally written as a web novel. But, like, yeah. Wait, was it 2011 or was it 2001?
Earlier than that, yeah. Earlier than 2011, yes.
It was, well, like, I'm getting my years crossed, but I know it was around the time Final Fantasy XI was still in full swing.
So 2001-ish, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Early days, EverQuest. That's why the game design is Sword Art Online is so bonkers. I've gone over this in the God of War playthrough. I don't need to go over it again. Okay, so next Sailor Moon related question. Out of all the episodes you remember, do you have a favorite?
Oh,
you first, Kitty.
I don't know, that's hard.
It would be hard if your freshest memories are of Crystal, which is not exactly episodic. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember one specific one that I would say.
Yeah, that's fair. Just speaking episodic, I kind of like the episode where Jadeite gets run over by a fucking airplane. No, that's not what
JD's problem is he got hit by a plane. If he got hit by a truck, he gets sent to another world. Which I love. There's a parody manga series that's about that.
Oh, just someone getting hit by a truck.
No, the guy driving the truck is a employee of, like, this organization that's specifically meant to send heroes to other fantasy worlds. So the truck is specifically designed to run into people, and just like the truck itself is like the portal to other worlds. So he constantly is running into people.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds like a backwards version of the Ghost Bus from the Sailor Mars intro episode.
I mean, kind of, but it's like it's not a very long manga because there's only so much you can do with that one joke. But
that actually like sounds like what a lot of isekai fan fiction self-insert stuff
gosh.
does. They'll have some super ultimate like entity who intentionally sends people to other worlds for reasons.
I mean, a lot of them are getting self-referential about that, if only because it's like you can't just send someone like genuinely so anymore, because it's like everyone's so hyper aware of the genre. It's like you need to do something with it.
There's a rule in fantasy fiction that basically amounts to no portal fiction, where you're not allowed to do the Alice in Wonderland thing anymore because it's been done to death. Like
anime studios never got the memo.
Well,
if anything, they won't fucking stop.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you want to have a story set in a fantasy world, but you want to also have the relatable high school protagonist for all the high school students to project themselves onto, isekai is basically the only way to do it. And it's kind of like weird to say that SAO is one of the most interesting ideas for isekai fiction ever. Because all the other ones basically just amount to portal fiction.
Oh
So yeah. I mean, Log Horizon's pretty good about it.
One that doesn't get nearly enough attention or love is Grimgar, which basically is just the whole. It's not just one; it's a group, like almost a whole class gets sent.
Wow.
But there's like no Demon King. There's no real goal, and they have no idea. There's no like, oh, wise heroes from the other world, we're summoning thee to whatever. They're literally just there. No explanation why, and it's like they're literally the goal is just learn how to survive. It's like, okay, we don't know how to read this fantasy language. We don't know how to, none of our skills translate to, middle fantasy world. So they just kind of bungle their way into becoming just general adventurers. Like, we fight goblins to earn some pocket money.
I need to watch that. At the beginning, it sounded a bit like the setup for Log Horizon, but went in a wildly different direction.
No, it's like, I mean, there's lighthearted moments for sure, but it's like, it treats it with like utmost seriousness. It's like, if we don't do this, we're literally just going to starve because we don't have any money.
Yeah. Have you seen Log Horizon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Ah, boy. I'm relieved that they're giving that anime another shot, but
Yeah.
they kind of need to. The light novels need time to like catch up, because like there was a period of time where the author wasn't writing them, I think, so they haven't gone very far past what the anime is at. Ah, well.
Yeah, we still got to kill 6 minutes.
Yeah, we still gotta kill 6 minutes. Okay. Since favorite episode was a bit of a bust. Well, actually, I didn't give my serious answer to that. I've only watched like most of the first season of the 90s anime recently enough to remember individual episodes. And one of the ones that I particularly liked, this was during the early period where Sailor Moon was still fighting by herself.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the episode about the fitness center, where people basically got locked in these pods down below, and it made them super thin, but it also sapped their energy, because that's what Jadeite was all about. Yeah. And Sailor Moon Usagi has gotten really insecure about these offhand comments related to her eating habits. So in spite of being the skinniest, most blondest high school girl ever, she gets really insecure about her weight and gets swept up in the whole scheme. But it turns out to be really lucky that this happened, because it blows the whole scheme wide open, because she's there. But yeah, it was a fun episode. I felt like the episodic nature of the 90s anime got a bit in the way, in the sense that Usagi spent like way too much time not knowing what she was doing.
Yeah.
But some of the early Sailor Moon only episodes were pretty fun.
Yeah, I really like when they brought in Chibi Moon as Black Lady. I really like seeing her as an adult.
Yeah, Black Lady was interesting. There was another story in the Sailor Moon in the Sailor Moon 90s anime where she became an adult there too, as a gag,
Wicked Lady.
like as a joke concept, where I think. Hang on.
No,
look.
they basically swapped ages, if I remember correctly. Is that it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon
And Chibi Moon swapped ages, yeah.
Moon age switch, yes.
And it was really awkward for Mamo.
It's also weird because Chibi Moon was like super into the fact that she was like tall and curvy.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
like Usagi's freaking out and shouting, and in the background, Chibi Moon is just like looking at
I have
herself,
boobs.
just like turning and twisting and looking around. She's got like a starry background, and she's looking at her hands, and she's got this look in her eyes. She's just like, all of my dreams have come true.
She's got huge tracts of land.
That was funny. I need to actually figure out which episode that is so I can watch it in full, because I've only ever seen it in YouTube clips. But, like, let's see. Okay. With that question out of the way, let's see. We've gone favorite episode. We've gone favorite Sailor Scout. We've got a few minutes to cover before this boss fight ends. Huh.
Best villain.
Best villain? Are we talking season villains?
Sure.
Because, like, it's hard to differentiate between random monsters.
Like, yeah, season
like-
villain.
Like, okay.
Good old Queen Beryl.
Queen Beryl. That depends on which version of Queen Beryl you're talking about. Because 90s anime Queen Beryl is a freaking idiot. But in Crystal, I like her well enough. I think, though,
Prince Demand.
I might like 90s anime mad scientist guy just a little bit more.
Oh,
I forget what his name
Hotaru's
is.
dad?
Hotaru's dad, yes. He's
Yeah.
absolutely batshit insane
Yeah,
in
he's
90s anime.
he's
and I love it.
bonkers.
He's kind of dark and serious looking in Crystal and the manga, but they had a lot of fun with him and his allies in the 90s anime. It's probably the highlight of the entire series, to be honest. So yeah, I think he'd be my favorite. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I would probably say him. If only because it's like the 90s show goes full on. Oh, his face just gets randomly obscured, and he has like, bright shiny glasses eyes. And,
Yeah.
all that really over the top stuff. It's one of those things where it's like, I know it's an animated thing, but it's like, how would that even potentially look in real life?
We did it! Oh my god!
I like how only the top part of the monster disappears, because I think the bottom half of the demon is Sin.
I am defeated.
And she's basically giving us the doomsday speech where I will kill you. I will get out and I will kill you.
I promise.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen, lady.
My body. Wah.
You're still not me. Oh no, we're in Glitch Town.
So we managed to save Sin. I think Sin and Anshar would both disappear at this point if you got the bad ending. Why did you save me? We're enemy. Lady, don't question a gift horse. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It's gonna bite your nose off. I'm sorely tempted. You've given us a lot of trouble here. Also, I like how half the Sailor Scouts just aren't in this scene because there's no room for them.
You're right. Oh my
Yeah, the other sense here, like we got no horse in this race.
But we're still in Crystal Tokyo, so
reunited.
Oh, the other loser. The others are the loser brigade are here.
This is a funny conversation, by the way, and it's entirely because of Ishtar the Airhead over here. Because, like, the 5 Oppositio soldiers are having this heartwarming moment where they're like, oh, Sin, we wouldn't have been friends without you. You've done a lot for us. And Airhead Ishtar is like, yeah, you brought us all together. Wait, no, that was Apsu.
Yes, and what did you do?
So, yeah, the Oppositio soldiers get to have a fresh start with their friendship.
I mean, hey, look on the bright side. We all have matching outfits. We can form a girl group.
Yeah, and here in the future year of 22, they get to live out their immortal lives in the utopian future that they tried to destroy.
Which they didn't like for some reason.
It's a good thing that the queen of this world also happens to be the same person who just showed you mercy. Man. And then Sin actually agrees with Ishtar's airheaded observation. Never doubt the incredible Ishtar. This is a good ending. Like, it's a pretty basic ending in terms of story and animation. That's kind of the way this game runs its cutscenes, to be honest.
Oh.
So Chibiusa has a love interest now.
Chibi's
That's
got
nice.
a boyfriend.
This belongs to you. Oh!
That's a big pendant. It's bigger than you are.
Yeah. It's her chain.
Wait, which pendant is that? Huh.
Can we see?
Sorry, kid. We're never gonna see you again. You're a filler character.
Sure. Bye.
Now to never be referenced again.
They done did a smooch.
Well, I mean, Chibiusa was always going to come back to the future at some point.
I'm more talking in a meta sense.
Yeah, but like considering the way her departure from the present day and her return to it happened, what probably happened is she gave Anshar a kiss, exited stage left, and then walked in from the right side of the stage and yelled, "I'm back for my training!"
Time travel.
You know what they say. What do they say?
All toast is toast
clucked
toast.
Together.
Okay, maybe your counterpart wasn't exactly you, Venus. We must now write ourselves out of the plot so as to not interfere with season 5.
Well, Destiny is going back to the way it was supposed to be. So Hotaru is going to turn back into a baby pretty soon. Pluto is going to go back to guarding time, which is an anime-only thing, I suppose.
I'm never selfish.
Because the anime hadn't quite caught up with Arc 3 by the time this game came out, Hotaru is going to go back with Uranus and Neptune instead of going with her father. Because remember, Hotaru's father should be alive at this point, if we're going by anime logic. Sometimes it feels like you're being controlled by an invisible hand.
It's the Force.
What? No.
Everyone turns and looks at the screen when she says that.
All thanks to Usagi.
I know it was a cheesy line, Hotaru, but okay. You're sick, are you? Okay.
Huh? My destiny.
So, okay.
She's about to shrink.
So she's gonna turn into a baby again, disappear for a season, and then get transformed away from a baby by Sailor Galaxia a season from now. It's all really weird.
Aww.
I hope we can play again someday. Did any of us actually talk like that when we were young?
No.
I don't remember talking like that when I was young. I don't remember being young at all, to be honest. Time is meaningless. I've been 30 forever.
I'm going to transcend now.
I must go now. My planet needs me.
Plop. Oh my
Quick,
gosh.
someone catch the baby.
Yeah, just lands with a thud on the hard
Flop.
concrete.
Oh.
Don't worry, we prepared for sudden transformations to and from baby form by wrapping her in a really soft and cushy blanket. So, it was more of a flump, honest.
Okay, bye, Adder-senshi.
Bye-bye.
I like how Saturn casually admits before turning back into a baby, I thought about using my powers to return all to nothing, and I'm really glad it wasn't needed this time. Thanks,
Bye.
Saturn. Thanks. Thanks for not ending the world. I think that's actually what happened at the end of the Silver Millennium, is that like when Queen Beryl and Metalia were like on the cusp of taking over, Saturn just awoke and ended everything so that Queen Beryl couldn't win.
Bye-bye. Aw.
And you still got school tomorrow.
No.
Time for you to hit the
Now
books.
go study.
Come on,
But
I
I-
just saved the space-time continuum. Can't I at least spend some time with my boyfriend first?
No, study for geology.
Why did we have to fade to black for this scene?
Mm.
Hey,
You.
Mordiner. Aww.
All right. And that's the end. Roll credits.
How
I
high
can't
up are
believe
they on
we
the hill if the
made
background, the city's in the background like that?
Who knows?
Hey, time for Moonlight Densetsu.
Yep, pretty much.
Or not.
No, it's Moonlight Densetsu.
Okay.
It's just a slower remix.
That was a really cute game. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a fun time. It's just like, you know,
Tedious at points.
the structure of the game and the experience curve really do hold it back from being a fun time. Like, the game feels like it should be longer than it is as well. Like, there should have been a few more areas in there to give your party members a chance to gain experience more naturally, but they didn't have that. And like, the only optional content in the entire game is the one side quest with the 2 optional bosses that is only accessible during the one chapter where you have the airship. It also like feels like they meant to have more to do when you were in the past on the airship. Because like you get the airship,
And then you see everything,
like,
and you're just like, oh my god.
most of the places that you can go are places that you've already
Yeah.
been and have nothing for you to do in them. So it all just falls together in a really weird way, you know? I wish they'd do another Sailor Moon RPG though, because the concept has potential.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and now that we live in a post-Persona 3 through 5 world, like, we have a good format for that kind of thing. I mean,
It obviously wouldn't be nearly as difficult as those games, but
Yeah.
well, yeah, but Persona 5 is already a magical girl RPG. There's a joke about it in Persona Q2, actually, like, because of the deliberate Sailor Moon parallels. The Persona 3 female protagonist, when she's asking about the Persona 5 character's transformation, she's like, is it like the way magical girls do it? That's an actual line of dialogue in the game. And then after that, Persona 5 Royal comes out, and the first thing that happens in the game is the new character making a tuxedo mask entrance. Like, she appears up in the rafters of the ceiling, and then no, she disappears up in the rafters. She basically leaves the way Tuxedo Mask does. But, like, she throws her sword to help Joker out of a situation, fights alongside him, and then disappears.
He also might have a situation he easily could have handled on his own, yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, in the original game, he got through that without her. By virtue of that room not existing for some reason.
Oh, man.
All in all, though, a neat little idea. I think it's a little sad they never really tried again. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
I want to thank Kitty for joining us for this playthrough.
Thank you guys for having me. I really do appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here, especially with
it was fun.
actually having someone else to talk Sailor Moon with. So
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's another decent Sailor Moon game out there.
now we did the beat 'em up, and now the only things that are left are the really unbalanced fighting games.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Rest in peace, Sailor Moon.
Rest in pieces.
That's dark.